Hey, good morning. This is Francisca. And I come to you this morning straight from my Jimmy Jammies. I'm having a well-deserved couple of hours away from work. Having worked crazy amounts over the past few weeks, I decided to book in some time for me to do nothing. Do you know what's really fucking weird though? It's been nice, right? Having a couple of hours. But the thought now of having to do anything, so I was like, I probably need to make a video because I need some more. I'm not going to have enough time during the week, so let me keep some momentum going. The thought of doing that is literally filling my body with massive amounts of anxiety, massive amounts of shame. I think there's some shame in there, and like real massive amounts of hopelessness. And the reason why I bring this up is because this is not a new feeling. I often feel this high level of anxiety mixed with shame, mixed with hopelessness, when I'm coming to do really a lot of things. So, for example, if I have to write like a big report at the end of like a couple of weeks of doing some work, if I'm doing independent work, every time I think about having to do that task, I'm filled with this same feeling. Every time I think about having to like edit a video, I'm filled with this same feeling. Every time I think about having to sit down and do this, I'm filled with this same feeling. Like when I think about the tasks that I have to do in my life and I'm like plotting these tasks out from the comfort of my sofa, I'm always left with this overwhelming feeling of anxiety and hopelessness and shame. And it's usually the thing that causes me to just say, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to put that off. I'm going to procrastinate. I don't want that kind of feeling around me, and I'll distract myself and I'll go do something else. And this is the same feeling that I get when I'm like really struggling with my mental health. This feeling of just sadness and anxiety and hopelessness. When it's like cranked up to 100%, those are the times when my mental health is on the floor, and when I can't get out, and when I don't want to get up out of bed, and I want to completely isolate myself, and all of those other symptoms, those things that are symptomatic of like really poor mental health. And the reason why I bring this up, and I think the reason why I'm sitting here doing this anyway, and the reason why I'm so kind of acutely aware of it, is because, actually, as I was saying about trying to give examples of times that I've felt like this, it reminded me of a time when I was studying for my master's degree in psychotherapy, and I wanted to do really well, but I kept on procrastinating with writing my essays. I think I had an essay that I needed to do on Carl Rogers and the 6 necessary and sufficient conditions, and I just put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off to the last minute. And I put it off because every time I thought about it, I got this same feeling, this same like sick, anxiety ridden. I mean, I can't put words to actually what this feels like, but it just feels I want to say overwhelming, but that's not the word. It feels like sickness, actually. Really, that's what it comes down to. It feels like sickness. I feel sick. And I felt sick at that time. And every time I thought about having to write this assignment, I felt sick. And then I just made the decision, you know what, I'm just going to sit down and do it. And the minute that I sat down to do it, the minute that it, or, you know, not immediately, but once I persevered through that first like 10, 15 minutes, because they say you only really need to concentrate for like 10 to 15 minutes to switch your brain out of like, you know, whatever relaxed or maybe hyper aroused state that it's in, which is what I feel, into like just being focused on the task at hand, right? So if you can just like say read or make notes or work it out or whatever you've got to do, like for those 15 minutes, if you can just stay on task for those 15 minutes, then it really does switch your mind into a different focus, right? Into a different lane. Anyway, yeah, I was reminded of that and doing that for my assignment. And the minute that I sat down to do it, the minute that it was easy, right? And then as soon as I was done, I had this really beautiful dopamine hit where I was like, bing, tick, done, feel amazing. And the reason I talk about that is because these past few weeks where I've been working, you know, my biggest fear going back to work full time, it's kind of like an amalgamation of a lot of smaller fears, but essentially it's a fear that you or I or anyone will be swallowed by the system. We'll just be like, become a cog in the wheel, a worker bee, patched in, living to work, having no aspirations, no hopes, no dreams, because you're too tired at the end of the day to do anything, to invest anything in yourself. I thought really that it was the beginning of the end for me. That's really how it felt. That I had just resigned myself to thinking, to accepting that, you know, there is nothing different or special about life, about me, that I didn't come here to have any kind of amazing experience, that I'm no different to everybody else and I'm just a little worker bee. And it really felt like that. It felt like a death. It felt like a bereavement of everything that could be possible for the future. And I mean, this job for sure is more demanding than I think most of the jobs that I've had as a social worker. The organisation is struggling, just for a lot of different reasons, mainly because of the impact that COVID had on workers, their ability to work, timescales for things, being able to book like dates for things to be heard and all of that sort of stuff. So there's just a really big backlog and they're really, really struggling. And, you know, I see workers around me dropping like flies. What's my point? So I guess my point is that as I started working, I was like, yep, this is the death of me, actually. I'm never going to be able to do anything now other than this. I'm a whore to the system. I'm a whore to the money. Just give it up. Like, you've completely failed yourself. You've failed all of your beliefs, your entire like worldview, your political structure, your sociological expectations. Like, you've failed everything. You've just gone back to work and now look at you. You're working 9 to 5. You're actually working like 7 till 7 and getting paid 9 to 5. But you know, the really interesting thing that's come out of it is that the more that I have to do and the more that I get to tick off and say that task has been completed, the more that I want to do more stuff. Like, all weekend I had to stop myself from getting on my work computer and getting these tasks done, because there is a dopamine hit that hits your head, that hits your brain when you've completed something. And I know that the more that you do something, the more that it will compound whatever it is that you're doing. So it's really interesting that this job, I said it before, it's causing me to be streamlined with the things that I do. It's causing me to be productive in times when I'm not working, because I'm like, right, I don't have the time. I spoke about that in a video the other day. But the other thing that it's really done is it's made me realize, I used to think, them A-type personalities, fucking mental, aren't they? Just going at it non-stop. No wonder you're successful in the system that we have at the moment, because the system is built for people like you. It's not built for people like me. It's not built for the artists and the philosophers and the people that are in like general wonderment around the world and want to create beautiful things and want to make a political statement about what the system is like, but not have to do it from within the system. But I'm realizing that actually I'm a bit of a workaholic. I really, really, really like making to-do lists and ticking off things on my to-do list. I really, really like working fucking hard, like, to do this stuff. And I knew this about myself before, but it feels like I forgot it in this journey that I've been on of like emerging self and evolving self. And like, I don't know, man, like trying to find and heal myself. I've forgotten actually there's a part of me that's a little bit of an A-type personality that really likes to fucking work and really likes that dopamine hit and really wants to compound that feeling by doing more and doing more and doing more. And when I first kind of realised, like, oh, okay, I didn't know that about myself, or I've seemed to have forgotten that about myself, I was really grateful that this had come about. But also, I had a moment where I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I am just a worker bee. Maybe that is who I am. Like, maybe I'm just supposed to be here writing lists and ticking off tasks. Like, for someone else, and you know, I get my money and then I spend my weekend doing what I want to do, and then I go back to work and I write lists and I tick off tasks, you know, and I get my little dopamine hit. And I guess even saying it now, it gives me a little bit more of an insight into people who, try as I might, I do judge for not having any interest in wanting anything more than just doing that every single fucking day for the rest of their lives. Because I can see actually how I, like, just even within that small pocket, it's very rewarding. And it feels rewarding. And you feel like you're doing something. You feel like you're actually achieving something, you know? So I was thinking about that firstly. And then I thought, well, that's not really what I want. And I don't think it's who I am. So what is this teaching me, right? Because I'm always looking for the lesson in things. Like, where is the blessing in this really overwhelming, overworked period of my life? And I think what it's showing me is that having a purpose is really important to me. Feeling like I'm achieving something is really, really important to me. And when I think about the times when my mental health has been really, really bad, it's not out of laziness, because I think that's just too simplistic to say that, but it's out of that feeling of hopelessness that's being compounded every day by not doing anything, procrastinating from the things that could make a difference. And that just like compounding day after day after day. And then me feeling like I have absolutely no fucking purpose. Everything is hopeless. And, you know, I have massive amounts of anxiety around taking a step forward. And I think it's interesting, right? How forward, that doesn't always have to be forward. Sometimes it's like this lateral movement where you move to the side and you feel like you're not progressing in the area that you want to progress, but actually you're learning a completely different task in a completely different area, you know? And yeah, so this whole process has made me think, okay, if I can do it for someone else, then why can't I do it for myself? And I think there's like psychological things in there around my own self-worth, and you know, that whole thing of like feeling like, oh my god, I don't know if I can get to the end of this. But then also I feel like there's a lot of like practical and pragmatic things in there, like as in like I don't know how to publicize things, I don't know how to promote things, I don't know how to sell. And then there's a load of stuff in selling that for me I just don't really like, because I feel like it's really completely disingenuous. So I just feel like, well, if I put it out there, then people will, who it's meant for, it will find. But again, that's kind of like that manifesting, oh, I've got £1 million in my bank account and I'm going to wake up tomorrow, it's going to be there. Like, no, you still have to take steps forward, right? But not really knowing what that is or what that looks like or how to be productive within that is really, really difficult. But I guess this whole experience is teaching me that if I have some kind of structure and I know what tasks it is that I need to do, then I'm like a maniac for completing those, you know? So I don't know how that's going to fit into me creating a different life, creating something new, creating something better for myself, or creating something that is more conducive with what I feel is like a purpose for me. And I guess just even thinking about that word purpose, it's like when I feel like I have no purpose, like on a day-to-day basis, that really affects my mental health. But then, and then my purpose as like this overarching thing of who I am as a person cannot be birthed, because on a day-to-day basis, I can't find purpose in doing the smaller things that create that bigger purpose, because I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah. And I guess back to where we started, today it's interesting that I've taken time off and immediately my body's like, oh no, I feel sick and I feel hopeless and I feel really anxiety ridden and I don't want to do anything. Don't do anything. Don't do it. It's all hopeless. Just don't try. Fuck knows what that's about. I think that needs a little bit more thinking. But I guess what's the point? What's the whole point of this video? Number one, that sometimes thinking that you're moving backwards is actually moving you forwards. Sometimes the thing that you think that you don't want to do and that is going to be the ruin of everything actually is the thing that gives you the skill that you needed, the one thing that was fucking missing from everything else, because that's what I feel like this is. That realization that like, oh no, I do actually like to work hard. Why haven't I been doing that for my own business? Like, what the fuck? So now I need to figure out how I can work hard in my own business and what's missing there. But it's like these puzzle pieces that are being put together through me doing something that I thought was going to be the death of all of that has actually reignited and sparked life back into it, which is fucking amazing. So I guess, you know, my mind was telling me don't do this, but my body was like, no, I think that's where you should go. Like, so maybe listening to that, that's a really big point from this video. Being open to opportunities, being able to see the wider kind of blessing or lesson from what it is that you're going through, rather than just seeing it as a shit show with nothing to add and nothing to give to your life or to your learning. So I think that's a really big part of what I'm talking about. And I think also just for me personally, something that I'm really grateful for is that understanding of who I am as a person is becoming clearer, remembering actually what I knew about myself previously and understanding it from a different lens and a different context now, so that I can apply it in a way that is more meaningful to me and to my life. That's something amazing that I'm really grateful for. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna go get on with some tasks. Okay, that's it.